So guys, the brand new M2 iPad Pros are coming very, very soon, and here's what they'll look like. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again. And if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. So guys, we've been speculating for months now about the new iPad Pro alongside a number of other Apple products to be launched in the fall. Originally, we expected there to be an October event, especially since the iPad Pro is definitely not the only device due to get an upgrade. But as time progressed, we were getting more and more messages about there potentially not being an October event and getting the new product announcements via press releases instead. Now, when I hear something like that, my first thoughts are always, oh great, that must be some lackluster incremental upgrades for Apple not to even bother with an event. But is that actually true? Yes and no. You see, there's a couple of good, reliable Apple leakers out there, and most of us Apple channels look to these leakers for our information and updates. But in my opinion, there's one leaker that rules them all, and that is Mark Gurman. Now, Mark is a respectable journalist at Bloomberg, so it's borderline insulting to call him a leaker, but he does bring us leaks and rumors on the regular, and in his case, they're usually true, or at least they hold a substantial core of truth. According to the website AppleTrack, he is 86.5% accurate, and given the volume of leaks and rumors he produces, that number is very, very high. Unfortunately, Sam Cole has decided not to update his AppleTrack website any longer, but I do believe he still updates the accuracy ratings. Anyway, you get the point. Mark is a credible, reliable source. Now, why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you this because Mark Gurman produces a newsletter under Bloomberg Technology, and these are usually packed with juicy Apple goodness, so I've been an avid reader of his newsletter, and last Saturday, so not even 2 days ago, he dropped a newsletter that was filled with the very latest updates from the Apple camp, but both dispelling and confirming some of the latest rumors, and it's now like 99.9% certain what we can expect in terms of new Apple products. And not only do we know what we're getting, we also know that we will be getting it in a matter of days. In fact, by the time you're watching this video, the first press releases might have already dropped. Who knows? Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes. What are we actually expecting? We will be getting a new iPad Pro, and that makes sense historically since it will have been exactly 18 months since the last M1 iPad Pro came out. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very exciting upgrade this time. For a little while, we were getting pretty excited about some potentially big upgrades like a new Magic Keyboard with a row of function keys, a new hinge system, and a dedicated space for the Apple Pencil, as well as new and improved smart connector dots on the back of the iPad, or for those dots to be moved elsewhere to make room for a glass backside, which would have enabled MagSafe charging for the iPad Pro. Now that we're days away from the actual product launches, it seems that none of those bigger changes are on the horizon and that we are getting some spec bumps instead. The new iPad Pro will be getting the new M2 chip, which was to be expected of course, and it will be the same M2 chip found in the latest MacBook Air, which by the way we reviewed in great detail on this channel, so if that's something you're interested in and you're new to the channel, please feel free to have a browse, and if you like what you see, a sub to the channel would be much appreciated. Anyway, so we got the M2 chip, and is that going to be it? Most likely, yeah. I mean, it could be the case that we'll get a 24 gigabytes RAM option on the M2 iPad Pro and potentially more storage, but to be honest, does anyone really need that? When the M1 iPad Pro was launched, I bought the fully spec'd out 16 gigabyte version, 2 terabytes of storage, because I was expecting real pro applications like Final Cut Pro, like Logic, to come to the iPad. And those apps would have required a lot of RAM and a lot of storage. But in reality, no such thing happened, and I've never even come close to using the full 16 gigs of RAM or the storage. So I'm genuinely unsure what I'm supposed to do with an even more powerful iPad Pro when it's still running the same old operating system and no Pro applications. Sure, we're expecting iPadOS 16 to launch alongside the iPad Pros, but iPadOS 16 will work on older iPads too, and it certainly won't require that much processing power. We've been beta testing iPadOS 16 for months now, and while it has some cool features, again, plenty of videos on the channel about that too, and one of my most requested features, full external monitor support, which was working pretty well in the beta version I have to say, has been removed. So even the new iPadOS isn't that exciting to me anymore. Stage Manager is kind of cool, but that's about it. One positive is that Apple has made iPadOS 16 available on older iPads as well, not just the M1 and the new iPads, which was the plan originally. A lot of people who bought expensive tablets in 2020 got very upset about not being able to use the new features, and for good reason. So at least that is now fixed, and they will be able to enjoy whatever the final version of iPadOS 16 will look like. Another thing we most likely will not be seeing, and I know I wasn't the only one hoping to see this, is a liquid Retina XDR or mini LED display on the 11-inch iPad Pro. It looks like this feature will remain exclusive to the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and that is kind of a bummer because I've come to appreciate the smaller form factor because of my love for the iPad mini, and I was looking forward to seeing that amazing display to be compressed into that smaller form factor, which would have made it look even more amazing. I do hold out a very small slither of hope to see the front-facing camera finally be moved to the side where it belongs so that we can use our iPads in landscape mode when we make those video calls. Anyway, that's about it for the iPad Pro, or so it seems at least. So is this going to be the worst upgrade cycle in the history of Apple upgrades? No. Why? Because of the regular iPad, meaning the entry-level iPad, aka the iPad 10. Normally, I would not be that interested in this device, but it looks like this is going to be the most substantial upgrade we will be seeing this October. It looks like the entry-level iPad will be getting a facelift, making it look similar to the iPad Pro and the iPad Air in that it will adopt the boxy rectangular design. It will be getting a spec bump in the form of the A14 chip, but it is also said to be receiving smart connectors on the back and a USB-C port. And that is very interesting because that might indicate that we'll now be able to use the entry-level iPad with the same accessories as the iPad Pro and the iPad Air, such as the Magic Keyboard. And that, in my opinion, is pretty huge because if the price doesn't increase too much, you'd be able to get an iPad at $329 and a Magic Keyboard at $299, bringing the entire package just over $600. Now, that does lead me to believe that Apple is working on a new keyboard for the iPad Pro because I don't believe they would allow the entry-level iPad to get this close to the iPad Air and the iPad Pro if they weren't. Apple is known for pushing us into the premium segment, not the other way around. They must have something up their sleeves. Other things we're expecting this month is M2 versions of the 14-inch and the 16-inch MacBook Pros, which is cool if you're coming from a pre-M1 model, but probably not worth upgrading from an M1 Pro or M1 Max chip. And we will be seeing an upgraded Mac Mini with the M2 chip, and we might be seeing an M2 Pro version of the Mac Mini, and that is definitely something I would be interested in. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the upgrades. Are you disappointed about the M2 iPad Pros? And what is the upgrade you're looking forward to the most this October? Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it one of these. It really does help the channel. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.